Biological diversity is the term given to the variety of life on Earth. It is the variety within and between all species of plants, animals, and microorganisms, and the ecosystems within which they live and interact. Biodiversity is a broad term applying to all the organisms inhabiting the Earth and the ecosystems in which they live. Biodiversity falls under three categories: ecosystem diversity, genetic diversity, and species diversity. Genetic diversity is a term used when talking about the diverse range of genetics within each species. Genetic diversity is critical within each species as it allows for variations in the characteristics of each individual. Within each region or area, you may find animals, plants, insects, mammals, invertebrates, fungi, and many other different species of living things. This is species diversity. Species diversity is important within the ecosystems as each species plays a role in another species' survival and provides necessities in the food chain. Ecosystems can vary in size and are the makeup of the global environment. There are different types of ecosystems, such as deserts, coral reefs, rainforests, and the seafloor, each unique from the inhabitants to the external meteorological effects, such as rain and temperature. Ecosystems are key to survival of all living things, providing homes, food sources, energy sources, and more. Without the environmental processes occurring, it would be impossible for species to live and function. Biodiversity is lost in a number of ways and refers to the declining amount of available living systems. The most common and main contributing factor to the destruction of ecosystems is human activity, causing disruptions and drastically changing the ecosystems around us. Some ways humans damage ecosystems and affect the biodiversity is overharvesting of sea life in marine ecosystems, deforestation, toxic wastelands, pollution, and introducing non-native species into the area. Due to this human activity, plants and other species are being killed by chemical waste, animals are getting caught and killed in rubbish, forests and other native areas home to wildlife are being deconstructed, overharvesting is resulting in exploitation of ecosystems, and global warming is occurring due to the number of greenhouse gas emissions, therefore changing the climate. Each year, over 1 million seabirds and 100,000 sea mammals are killed by human pollution, over 50,000 square miles of forest are destroyed, and in 1992, the world's fishermen spent $142 billion to extract fish from the sea. All species rely upon biodiversity in order to survive, and organisms use this diversity to band together and be a part of an interdependent ecosystem larger than imaginable. Humans use plants and soil for nutrients and water cycling, plants and animals for food, trees for oxygen, animals for clothing, and bacteria for medicines and disease resistance. As the world evolves, biodiversity is increasingly being lost at a rate larger than ever before. Not only is biodiversity important for the resources needed by humans, but it also provides income for the world. If the ecosystems deteriorate, it is costly to restore them back to how they were, resulting in an economic downturn. As plants produce defense mechanisms, humans harvest around 70,000 plant species for medicine and research. If the amount of biodiversity is decreased, so is the amount of available plant species and therefore medicines used to cure ill patients. Without these plants to harvest, the world would lose a significant amount of people due to the disease and infirmity, and the population could potentially be at risk of extinction. Meat from animals is the most common food source in both economically wealthy and poverty-enriched countries. Approximately 100 million metric tons of aquatic life are taken from their environment each year for consumption by humans, and if there are less amounts of wildlife, that means less food. The increasing amounts of deforestation are detrimental to the health of humans. Trees provide oxygen and plants and soil filter our water. The loss of these key environmental features means a compromise for the cleanliness of the air and the quality of the water. If the world is not given enough fresh oxygen, there will be an increased risk of failures of the blood and organs and make breathing on Earth difficult. The natural services provided by the ecosystems are paramount to the success of survival of all organisms. Loss in biodiversity results in limited access to such features, for example, climate stability, pollution breakdown, and environmental recovery. Due to the destruction of coral reefs and mangrove forests, communities surrounding the coastline are prone to flood and other natural disasters. This will result in coastal cities and communities being destroyed, and in the distant future, unstable living environments for both wildlife and humans will be prominent. Extinction is an issue that has been overlooked for many years but is only now being taken seriously. Due to pollution, climate change, chemical waste, and other human-induced impacts, the rate of extinction is 50 to 500 times higher than before, and increasing so drastically that half the world's species are estimated to be gone within the next century. If humans do not alter their current practices, the long-term effects to shortening biodiversity will generate a chain of damaging effects. Climate change is the largest factor feeding the loss of biodiversity. It is caused by humans' excessive use of fossil fuels, increased levels of atmospheric carbon dioxide, and by 2100, the IPCC has predicted the Earth will be 6 degrees hotter. We rely on biodiversity in every aspect of life, from shelter to medication to the food we eat. Biodiversity includes the ecosystems which we cannot survive without, and a range of living organisms and other resources used in everyday life. However, humans are continually destroying ecosystems and the environment in which we live, and not considering the long-term effects of the damage they are causing.